I'm here with ZachaREEE, now no longer really known to the Overwatch world as an active player, but definitely from the past, most definitely from the Fusion Uni era, but also because, of course, from the Dallas Fuel era, where you played during that an interesting time for the team. So I kind of wanted to catch up with you, and also you were part of that group that made the transition over to Valorant. And I think people just generally enjoy catching up with players that left for greener pastures, I guess. So
Fair.
let's start at the beginning, though. So if we think about, of course, yes, you were in Renegades, but I think most people became aware of you when the whole Fusion Uni thing started. And really, I mean, that team was being gatekept by the eligibility clause of being 18. A lot of you guys were like highly skilled, but unfortunately not able to join the Overwatch League at the time. What was it like to just like win everything at that time?
I mean, it definitely wasn't all winning at the beginning. I mean, obviously in official like tournaments, the whole record was just absolutely flawless. But I mean, we first started like playing together and like trialing like all that in like the end of 2017, like the very end of 2017. I think I had gotten back from Taiwan when I was playing like the Overwatch Heroes Rumble like content tournament. And that's when we started like actually playing together. And I mean, honestly, we were kind of getting farmed in the beginning. Like it was very hard being like trying to communicate with like who are you in Alarm, because I mean, obviously it's their first time playing on a mixed roster, and it was our first times playing with Korean players as well. But when we went into actually playing events, it was like it was pretty crazy because like a lot of those matches in the first season of 2018 were very close. It wasn't just us like 3-0ing everybody. Most of those matches were map 5. So it was like really crazy just going in, playing, knowing like we're just playing our game, we're playing exactly how we practice, and then no matter what happens right at the end, like we close it out because we just like everybody on that team just trusted each other. And like we're like anytime somebody's gonna make a play and they're calling they're making a play, the next person knows how to help that person make that play. So it felt like really nice just knowing that like everybody was kind of at your side, had your back, and was like working with you really well.
What was that the magical aspect of you guys? I mean, the amount of map fives that you won is actually miraculous in essence. It almost that was part of sort of like the Fusion University myth that you guys. I mean, you could probably get you guys to the fifth map, but then I mean, getting
Yeah.
to win that was an entirely different thing, right?
Yeah, I don't know what it was. We were just like really, really, really good at those King of the Hill maps. I think it was just like we were like a really free flowing team. I feel like Overwatch is definitely more of like a free flowing game than Valorant, obviously. But like we were one of those teams that it's just like if somebody has like a really like quick play they want to make and they call it fast, everybody's able to just like hop on and like deal with it. And on those King of the Hill maps where like one team fight kind of just decides how the map goes, it's not really easy to just like deal with a team that's able to throw so many different plays out of their like out of the pocket. So definitely rough to just like go in, maybe get us to like 50% on the point, and then we just like sweep you in a fight that you don't think you should win because we have like less ults. And then now you're just like fighting from downhill. Like those uphill battles on Koth are like really rough. And I think like we put a lot of people like out of their comfort zone on those like map types.
No, for the lack of a better word, you had a bit of a, I guess, at least on social media, a bit of a bromance with Who Are You at the time. Of course,
Yeah.
you guys making up that DPS too. Do you still follow his career? Do you still keep in touch with him?
So I've actually talked to him. We talk like not every single day, but like me and him were playing like Valheim a little bit like about a week or two ago, and we still message each other. But I mean, for right now, it's been a little bit rough because like it's technically my off season and it's his off season too. But I was like going and like trialing for teams, and I'm currently moving out of my apartment right now, so I'm not able to like hang out with him every day. But we still do talk, and we still do try and find games like that we can play that are like a little bit fun in the off time. Like, back then, yeah, like, when we had that, like, bromance stuff, like, literally every day we're just sitting there, like, do a queue Overwatch together, then we play, like, Monster Hunter together. Like, I remember there was a time where Fusion Uni staff was, like, coming into the team house to, like, talk to us about trying with the main team, and me and Who Are You just sitting there fighting, like, Xeno'jiiva and Monster Hunter World, like, just duo fighting Xeno'jiiva, just no care in the world, but Yeah, so we don't talk, like, every single day, but we still do keep in touch, and we message, like, every now and then.
Have you tried to pull him over to Valorant, or is he perfectly happy being an Overwatch League champion?
I actually don't think he's played Valorant a single time.
Oh,
I don't think he's ever, like, touched the game. He's, like, talked to me about it, not, like, about swapping, but we talk about Valorant because he, like, asks how things are going for me, but I don't think at the moment he's really interested, but yeah, I'm not too sure. I don't think he's the type of guy that would swap over.
is his skill set even suited for that game?
I mean, he's incredibly mechanically talented, so I'm sure if he wanted to swap, he could. And he's like the definition of grinder. Like he plays games nonstop. So, I mean, if he wanted to swap over, I'm sure he could. But I think like generally like everybody thinks like the hit scan players are like obviously going to be the best, but I don't really think it's necessarily like that black and white where just because you don't play hit scan, you're not good. I think he could definitely be good at the game if he wanted to play it.
For sure. Now, eventually, you made the jump into the Overwatch League, and you ended up, of course, with the Dallas Fuel. Did you have other offers at the time?
I had trials for other teams. Like I think I remember I had potential trials for like Boston and Washington Justice, and I had trials for Dallas. But I think like a lot of it partially was because Aero was there, and I knew when he was on Fusion Uni, I thought he was very good. And I had like OG and Closer, or not Closer, sorry, OG and Unco really liked me, and they were messaging me a lot, like trying to get me to come over and play with them because they both thought I was good. And I was playing with them at the time, and I thought they were like very good, and they're very like enjoyable to be around and good players. And I genuinely thought that Dallas is going to be like a good team going into that year. So I think that kind of like led me over to playing with them.
Would you? I mean, you talked about the relationship to Aero. Of course, you were with him on Fusion University. Would you have followed him to another team had he gone?
Um, I mean, I haven't really thought about it too much. I think like at the time he was leaving before I was eligible to actually like compete, but part of it also depends on like the organization. I thought Envy's a very good org, and they had like that legacy with Apex way back in the day with the champions, and obviously like season 0 contenders, they like absolutely just smoked everybody. But 2018 was pretty rough. So like in my head, it was like I kind of wanted to go over there and like bring them back to being able to be like that like high level contender champion type team.
Hmm.
But I mean, obviously that didn't really work out. But if I would have followed Aero to like another team, I'm not too sure. Maybe like right back in the past of time, if I had like the offer to like try out for them, I'd consider it. But I mean, just going to the team just on the connection, I'm not fully positive.
Right. In hindsight, like if you had another offer, do you think like another team would have suited you more, or like do you think Dallas was generally the right choice?
I think the way that Dallas went about like playing my role was just not like the best, right? Like, I mean, you see me transitioning from playing that Zarya role in Goats on Fusion Uni to playing Brig. And then during Sombra Goats, when I'm like an avid Sombra player, I was playing Brig anyway. I think like I was kind of like limited because other players didn't want to pick up that agent or that hero. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, people didn't wanna pick up Brig and, like, learn how to play her, so I kinda, like, as the flex player, just ended up playing her, so it's a little bit rough for me when I, like, know my strong suits were on the other 2 characters in that meta. But maybe, like yeah, if another team was gonna put me on, like, my strong agents, obviously, it would have been a better fit, but that's, like you said, it's hindsight. There's no way for me to know that it was gonna be, like, I'm not gonna be able to play the agents that I know I'm, like, the best at.
Right. What do you think generally went wrong that season?
Um, I think, like, there's definitely a lack of maybe like work ethic in the middle of the year. Like we got top 6 first 2 stages, and then we went to the second half. And I mean, we were kind of mixing things up. Like you saw, like there was a time where Unko's eye, like I forgot exactly what happened, but he like literally couldn't see out of his eye. He had to go to like the hospital to get eye drops and stuff like that. He was out for like 4 games. There's a time where OG like just I don't remember exactly what happened, but I think he was just like burnt out and he needed to take a break. So it was like we just picked up Trill from contenders and we had Trill playing. So it's like now we have like 2 like main components of the roster not playing. We were swapping out AKM and Taimu a lot, which in the first like 2 stages we weren't really swapping players around. And I think like just put like a lot of the players like we weren't really playing the game enough outside of practice, and maybe like just general enjoyment of the game wasn't high enough. So I think like other teams that were just like putting in the hours and working better together as a team and had more of that like core cohesion kind of just like outpaced us in goats in stage 3. And then stage 4, again, like I'm playing May kind of randomly. I'm like picking up May, and it's like I can make those plays, and like I like our Koth win rate on first map was like insane on that stage. Like we were winning like every Koth, and I feel like it was a lot of it was because like we were playing May Reaper, not May Hanzo, and it was like more of like a playmaking comp, and like we were able to make those fast plays, like with the Fusion Uni stuff I was talking about, where we have like those jump up plays, and I think like May on Koth kind of enabled that. But when we went to like May Hanzo, it's a lot more of like that really methodical, like we need to spam shield now. Then on this shield window, we're able to like play for our pulls, play for the like the Hanzo flank and all that. And we weren't really like the best at working together like that. So it kind of just like fell apart and we weren't really able to adapt to that. Like we were really good on Koth, but other 3 map types, you really just couldn't close it out and beat other teams. But yeah, I think a lot of it comes from just like not being able to like work together properly and put it together in the review to make it transfer into the match. And then just like, yeah, lack of like team cohesion, like structure kind of falling apart because like players that are really like core on the team aren't playing all the time. And because like eye issue or taking a break and then just people not enjoying the game is a bit rough. Like there's a lot of different factors that kind of happen that and it's just like you can deal with like a couple issues, but once like there's a ton of issues, it's just like you're not able to pull it all together. And it's like these teams are like trying to pull it together no matter what.
Eventually, you then decided to depart from Overwatch as one of the first Overwatch pros to go professional in Valorant. What do you think killed Overwatch for you? Was it like the, I guess, the lack of success in the Overwatch League, or like the team environment, or was it actually the game that just didn't grab you anymore?
Um, Major part game and then like minor part team environment. So like for the game, I just like I really liked the metas where it's just like adaptable and you're able to like make different plays and it's a lot about setup. And I felt like the game was going more in the direction where everybody's just like standing behind each other. And it's like not just death ball, but like it's just about like heal management like the entire time. It's like heal and shield management. I felt like there was a lack of like like positioning didn't mean as much on agents other than like maybe Widowmaker or something like that. It's like okay, well, if you have a good flank, it doesn't really matter because you're not going to be able to like make a play off your flank, something like that. And then like Brig is another thing. Like I really didn't like Brig, Ball, or Sigma like at all. Like those agents were like very 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 annoying to me. I think like I still don't like those agents at all to this day. I think that they're just like super annoying. So I just general like love for the game kind of fell off around then with those agents. And then like in 2020, I just knew I was benched. Like I pretty much they didn't tell me I was just like guaranteed bench, but I just knew I was just like guaranteed bench. Like I'm just never gonna have the opportunity to play. And then like there are times where like they'd have like the bench roster play in scrims and like we'd play in scrims and like we'd do really well in like the May McCree stuff. Like me, Dylan, Unco, Trill. Like that was our like comp. Like we were really good at the May McCree, May Reaper, stuff like that. And it's just like I know that we'd play, like we'd show promise in this practice, and I knew we were never gonna have the opportunity to play. So it's just like now that I know I'm not gonna be able to play with my team and I just have 0 chance to play, and I don't enjoy playing the game anymore, it's like I could easily grind to be on another team, because like I know I'm good enough to play for another team or even play on this team, but it's just like, why put myself through like the mental like stress and exhaustion to play what I don't enjoy playing? So I kinda just wanted to like step back and like reassess what I wanted to do. And that's when Valorant was pretty much getting announced. And it's like, hey, we have Overwatch esque abilities with more of like that tactical fundamental shooter type game. And I was just like, okay, well, I really love Overwatch. Like Overwatch is like my favorite game ever, honestly, when it first came out. Because I really liked TF2 a bit. I wasn't like crazy TF2 comp player like some of the guys in the beginning of the game, but like I was just like a little kid playing TF2, like playing like sniper with the bow on that character, like scout just jumping around. And I loved like the agent shooters. And I think Overwatch like really, really, really like the way that they made that agent shooter was like so great at the beginning. And I loved the ability aspect so much because it was like I'm playing like an MMO game, like WoW with abilities, but in like agent shooter. So I loved it. And it's like, okay, we're gonna bring those like Overwatch MMO-esque abilities to an attack shooter, I was like, okay, well, this is pretty much up my alley. Because like I like the gunplay like Counter-Strike or like Battlefield where it's like typical like M4's AK type thing. And then it's like they're adding Overwatch abilities to it. I was like, seems pretty perfect to me. Why not try it? And that's when I'm pretty much just like, all right, I think this is like my next step. I'm gonna try and do this.
You know the drill by now. First part of our interview with ZachaREEE is done. Now for the second part, this is where it gets interesting. Because ZachaREEE is, of course, in a unique position to have played Overwatch at the highest level, but now also playing Valorant at the highest level. That insight gives a unique contrasted opinion on what it's like to be a pro player at the highest level. What is it like communicating with Riot developers and Blizzard developers? Where are the differences there? We also talk about what it's like to be a pro player in a community of pro players and how those interact there, and what the competition there does to the scene, and why Overwatch players might be a little bit nicer to each other. We conversely also talk about what the discourse is like within the community level. Now there, it's quite interesting what the perception of ZachaREEE is, who thinks we maybe have cheated ourselves out of a bit of fun in Overwatch. You want to stay tuned to that? Like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification for all things Overwatch. GGRecon.